Good evening, Gills fans. Welcome back to Gills in the Blood TV. It is Monday review time, and do not adjust your sets. I am sitting here and reviewing a Gillingham defeat. That is correct. The unbeaten run stretching back to the end of November came to an end on Saturday against AFC Wimbledon, the same AFC Wimbledon that were the last team to beat us in Sky Bet League One. Similar type of game, niggly, frustrating from our point of view. Their reluctance to get on with the game when it was stopped was there for all to see in the first game, which we absolutely bashed them in and lost by 1-0. Wasn't too different this time around. Same antics from plenty of them, willing to stick their foot in, leave their foot in, but the first sign of trouble and the first sign of any of our players daring to react, running around the referee, hiding behind the referee. All the traits of a team banging trouble and having to do all that they can to get 3 points because they don't have good enough players to outplay teams. So from that point of view, they got the job done and fair play to them. Let them enjoy their day out. Let them enjoy their big win in Kent. We weren't good enough on the day, regardless of all their antics. We simply never got going. First half, they had the better chances. Max Amar had to clear off the line from Joe Pigott, 1x Gill. Jack Bonham had to stand up tall and make a big save from Scott Wagstaff, another ex-Gill. We created bits and pieces in terms of getting in behind, but not really troubling Joe Day, the Wimbledon keeper on loan from Cardiff City. But we did say at half-time that Steve Evans would get into him and that we were confident that second half, shooting towards the Raynham end would surely bring a better performance and hopefully 3 points. But we didn't start well the second half either, and simple ball into the box from Luke O'Neill, ex-Gill number 3, was headed at goal by Kwesi Appiah. Jack Bonham makes a brilliant save left-handed. Our defenders stand still like statues, and Joe Pigott taps in from about 3 or 4 yards to give Wimbledon a lead that they probably just deserved on the balance of play. Steve Evans, fairness to him, was quick and incisive with his substitutions. I think if you look at the minutes that the 3 players come on in Monday's Medway Messenger, half-time was Jordan Graham, 62 minutes was Matty Willett, and 72 minutes was Regan Charles Kirk. 3 attacking switches to try and get us going, trying to get us some impetus and some momentum moving forward. And for a long time, it didn't really look like it was going to happen. There was a spell just after Regan come on when I said I could feel that we was giving ourselves a chance, and if we could put one away, we might go on and win the game. And then we suffered another blow, didn't we? Max Amar, been superb this season, was spoken highly about by Paul Rayner at the recent Q&A session. In fact, Raines called him his player of the season. He'd been our best player throughout the game, comfortably, and jumped for a header at the far post in front of the Raynham end, come down with a sickening thud, and it soon became quite apparent to myself, Boz, Stocky and plenty of others in the ground, because I mentioned it on the Matchday Live on Saturday that his shoulder wasn't in the right position. Clearly had popped out of its socket. Physios were quickly on the scene to attend to Max, and credit to Scott Wagstaff, so that it doesn't just look like I'm sitting here bashing. The only good thing that he did in the game from a ethical point of view, so to speak, was the fact that he alerted the physios and the medical teams that they needed to get on and treat Max pretty sharpish, and they did that, popped it back in right in front of us. Another terrific crunch to enjoy, but that was the end of the game for Max. Said at the time it might be the end of his season, but seems to be more positive news this morning in the local press. Steve Evans has mentioned, or Paul Rayner it might have been, that they're hopeful it's not too bad and they got it back in quick enough and there's no lasting damage. So we'll have to wait and see whether Sunderland comes too quick. But it'd be great to have him available when we go out there at the weekend. In terms of the performance and the bigger picture, like I've said, it wasn't good enough. Has this result been coming? Perhaps. You look at the last few games, Blackpool, we didn't get going for 70 minutes. Doncaster took us a half and a red card. Southend against a team that had a load of kids in it and a team that's bereft of any sort of confidence and is getting relegated. We struggled for an hour, got the job done. But it just felt like a fixture where everything finally caught up with us. The small squad having to play Tuesday, Saturday for a fortnight. The conditions have been horrendous for a month now. I know that's just not us, that's other teams as well, but having to contend with long travelling hours and to Blackpool, to Southend on a Tuesday, to Lincoln, and then having to play in driving rain and gale force winds, it can't be easy. Such is the size of our squad as well. And aside from the period just before and after, for a little while after we levelled, we simply weren't good enough. If you look, excuse me, at Luke Cordell's match ratings and ours, I'll do Luke's first. Jack Bonham, he gave a 6. We gave Jack 7.5. I thought it could have been worse if it weren't for Jack. In terms of back to 4, we both gave Barry Fuller a 6. Both gave Max Amar a 7. Jack Tucker, Luke gave a 5. We gave a 6. And Conor Ogle, we got a 6. We gave him 6.5. In the middle of the park, there was a pair of 5s for Alfie Jones and Ollie Lee from both Luke and ourselves. Tom O'Connor got a 5.5 from us and a 6 from Luke, and Stuart O'Keefe got a 5.5 from us and a 6 from Luke. And the forward pairing, we agreed on Brandon Hanlon a 6. John Akindi got a 5 off Luke and 5.5 off of us. Wasn't at his best again. Probably hasn't got going as much as we'd like and as much as he'd like since arriving. The solitary goal so far, but still a couple of assists. But maybe we won't see the best of Big John until next season. We know he hardly played for Lincoln, so trying to get up to speed when fans are desperate for you to be the man that propels us into the top 6 cannot be easy. So I'm not going to sit here and slag him off. He wasn't very good Saturday, I know that. Steve Evans will know that, all the other fans will know that, and John Akindi will know that. But I'm not going to sit here and judge him after 7-8 fixtures. In terms of the substitutes, Jordan Graham got a 7 from Luke. We said 6.5. Did try his best to change the game from wide areas. Matty Willett got a 6 from us and a 6 from Luke. And Regan Charles Cook got a pair of 7s. Come on, scored the equaliser. But yeah, like I say, we had a go with 10 men trying to win the game, and ultimately it cost us. Callum Riley, ex-Gills number 4, scored the winner. So in terms of the 4 ex-Gillingham players, they all had an impact on the game. Luke O'Neill set up a goal, should have been sent off. Scott Wagstaff was a pain in the backside all afternoon. Really enjoyed winning the World Cup. Callum Riley scored the winner. Joe Piggott scored the first. You've seen my views on Twitter and on the Matchday Live regarding the antics of some of their players. It wasn't just Waggy. I find it a little bit unsavoury, a little bit unnecessary, considering the fact that we paid him a wage for 2 years and he started less than 50% of the games that we played. And I'd imagine he come off early in a fair chunk of the 44% that he did start as well, because he seemed to be always injured. But obviously the bigger picture is the playoffs. Is it still on? Of course it's not impossible. It's probably improbable now. Big headline on the back of Medway Messenger. We're not giving up. Paul Rayner's adamant that they will go to Sunderland and have a go and try to get themselves back in the picture. He says we don't go there with fear. We look forward to maybe getting 3 points and seeing if we can get back in touch. We will keep going and see where it takes us. I think that's the good thing. We don't want this season to just fizzle out now. I don't think Steve Evans and Paul Rayner allow that to happen. I don't think the captain will allow that to happen. And I don't think the group of players themselves will allow it to happen. And in that group of players was obviously the man who come off the bench again, hasn't had a lot of starts recently, and that is this fella. Regan Charles Cook, come on, scored the equaliser. It's the second time that he's come off the bench and netted this this calendar year. Did it a couple of Tuesdays ago at Blackpool. Really smart finish off his chest and a swivel volley. Instinctive header after Joe May had made a miraculous save from a Brandon Hanlon header on Saturday. And we thought, yep, great, we'll take a point. It wasn't a disaster at the time. I think results weren't too bad in other games, and I think we'd have been 5 or 6 points off the playoffs at that time. Unfortunately, perhaps with our over-willingness to try and win the game, we left ourselves short with Max Amar not being on the pitch. We conceded, and then there was goals in the other game that swung it even further away from us. So it is 7 points to the top 6 now. But Regan, back to him, been really good the last few weeks. I know Steve Evans has spoken and said that he's been training better. He's been getting involved more and getting more minutes from the bench. I liked him when he first arrived. He was very bright in that early part of the season, 2018-19, in tandem with his best mate Brandon Hanlon. I said a few times they seem to have like a telepathic understanding of each other's runs and each other's game. And if you've got stuff like that, it can only be a benefit to the group in total as a whole. But he's had to bide his time a lot this season. But I think maybe now, if he is training better, he's certainly coming on and influencing games, scoring goals, then maybe a case for Regan to get a start and see what he can do in a whole 90 minutes rather than a 10 minutes or a 5 minutes or a 15 minutes here and there. Clearly got loads of ability, really likeable as well as a professional and as a person. We met him at the fun day at the end of last season, was happy to have a chat, photos taken with whoever really asked, to be honest, and yeah, another one who I think's got plenty of ability, and if we can nurture that and coach that correctly, we could become a much better player for us in upcoming seasons, similarly to Brandon Hanlon. Unfortunately, wasn't quite enough in terms of a result. But let's just go to Luke Cordell's final paragraph, and I think he sums it up well now with the benefit of 2 days hindsight, being able to calm down after what we thought was probably a few bits of injustice over the 2 fixtures against them, especially Saturday, as that was obviously closer rather than being 3 months ago. But Luke says this wasn't Gillingham's day, but better to be disappointed about closing the gap on the top 6 than being caught by the bottom 4. Wimbledon had their day and some ex-Gills enjoyed the occasion, but the bigger picture is what's more important. Exactly that. We're safe from relegation. We've not had to look over our shoulder all season long. We're still looking up. Like I said, it's improbable now. It's not impossible. But until it becomes impossible, let's keep having a go. Let's keep believing. Let's keep dreaming. Because it'd be a real shame if we just let this campaign fizzle out into nothingness now. But as I've already mentioned, I don't think that will happen. So come Thursday, I'll be back, hopefully with Boz, for a match preview. Looking ahead to what is going to be a tough game at the Stadium of Light on Saturday. A long trip for the players, the coaching staff and fans alike. Myself and Boz are going. Got to be on the coach at the Priestfield at 7 AM Saturday morning, but really looking forward to it. So we'll be back Thursday for a chat, looking forward to that game, and then we'll be there Saturday for a match day live. But until then, enjoy your Monday evening, enjoy the rest of your week, and until next time, up the Gills.